had no idea that there was other things you could do.
In vet school, we unfortunately seem to get tunnel vision and only think clinical practice is the way to go, but there's so many different options.
Some of the different things we can do with our degrees that maybe not everyone has thought about.
I feel like small animal practice is always going to be the majority of where practicing clinicians are going to be.
We understand what that struggle can be. You feel like you might be burnt out.
Don't limit yourself just to one thing. Keep an open mind.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Vet Reset. I'm Dr. Sandra Siegel, and I'm here with Dr. Whitney Terrell. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how's it going?
It's good. I'm really excited to be here and talk about all the different veterinary topics and topics just that are really important in veterinary medicine. I'm ready to get into it.
I'm ready to keep it real, too.
Yeah. So tell me, why did you want to start this podcast?
So I thought this would be a great way to, like I just said, kind of keep it real. Definitely wanting to, the company I work for, we talk about this a lot, like where we want to make sure that people know we're real people at the end of the day. I thought this was a great need that we had to share who vets are as real people, like the things we go through, things we've been through. And if you and I have been through some of that, I'm sure there's lots of other people that maybe can benefit from stories we've had or experienced or whatever. So it's kind of came from a small idea that kind of turned into a bigger one, and then we thought, let's just do this. Let's be out there and talk about real stuff that our peers would want to hear about. Tell me a little bit about your career path.
Yeah, so I went to vet school in Dublin, Ireland. Graduated from there. Obviously, I'm not from Dublin, Ireland. I'm from North Alabama, and went to vet school in Dublin, Ireland. Came back home to practice. Started off initially in mixed animal practice. Eventually changed over to just small animal practice. Worked out best for me and my family. And I'm also getting into a little bit of content creation as well.
Very cool. We're going to have to touch in on that too, because I love that whole concept, especially in the vet world.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. There's definitely a place for it. And I think it's good because it's another way that we can connect to our clients. They can see, just kind of like with this podcast, we're trying to connect to other vets. Content creation can help us connect to our clients, and they can see a little bit more about what the veterinary world is really like behind the scenes. And it's also a way to have fun, let loose, have a mental break, and then just show that we really do love this career.
Yeah, I love that. Love that.
Tell me about you. How did you get here?
Yes. So I had kind of a circuitous path. I started off as going into kind of the hard sciences. So I started with a PhD, and then moved into doing kind of benchtop research, and then went to vet school after that. So that normally you kind of reverse it, but I always tend to do things different. So I went to vet school after that, then worked in practice for a while, did an internship and then practice, and then went into industry. So I've been in the corporate world for about 10 years now, and it's been great. So I really have sort of that span from research to practice to industry. So it's been a pretty cool path, and I enjoy it quite a bit. And it's been it was hard to sort of let go of the seeing patients and then going into industry, but I kind of think of it as helping patients in a different way, at a different level of like providing medicine and technologies and things like that. So.
Well, it's also very cool because although we have definitely a lot of similarities being in practice. And then I know we've had some international experience as well that I'm sure we'll get into eventually. Yes. It's very, very unique and good that we have these different backgrounds to where there's not just one career path in veterinary medicine. Exactly. There's so many different opportunities for us to practice or go into. It's not always clinical medicine, right, which not everybody knows. I know as a vet student, we unfortunately seem to get tunnel vision.
Yes.
And only think, clinical practice is the way to go, but there's so many different options, and I'd love to get into that more today.
Absolutely. That is what we want to talk about on this episode, is all about different, how diverse you can be in veterinary medicine. And so I think it'll be fun to explore that. And I felt the same way in vet school. I was like, oh, I'm getting trained to do this, and this is what I'll do in the end. And I had no idea that there was other things you could do. Yeah. So even the industry aspect was, I had no clue. So if you asked me when I was in vet school what I'd be doing, never in a million years would I have thought I would be in industry. But here we are, and I'm happy for that. So let's go into this a little bit. So I want to go into exploring career flexibility, some of the benefits of exploring that, some of the different things we can do with our degrees that maybe not everyone has thought about. And I think the vet world is facing a pretty big issue right now with burnout. I think we hear about that quite a bit. We hear about it from our peers. And it's something that is really relevant. And so, what are some of the options that vets can do through, working through this and having that flexibility in their careers?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually gave a talk at Auburn Veterinary School a few weeks ago, and that was one of the slides that I talked about. Was obviously, I'm coming from a place of clinical practice, so that was what my talk was going to be tailored on. But to not get narrow-minded, and that there are other options out there, so you don't have to feel like, okay, I have to jump straight into practice, right, or an internship or whatever. You can look at doing research. You can look at teaching. You can go into industry. I mean, there's so many different opportunities. And then even within clinical practice itself, there's a lot of different avenues between small, mixed, large, right, exotic. There's a world of possibilities that we can do. And I think especially for the non-practice side, we have good options for, say, if you do go into clinical practice and you're struggling with dealing with clients, or maybe you've gotten bit so many times that you're just anxious and burnt out and just can't take anymore. You're not getting paid what you think that you should get paid, right, to do all of that that you're dealing with. And then some of these other options, not being in clinical practice, might still allow you to use your degree to, a very full benefit, just in a different way that you originally imagined, right, and maybe give you that mental break, and something that you can enjoy that you might never have known that you would enjoy.
Yeah, let's take a deep dive into some of these things that you were just mentioning. Yeah. And I love that it's fresh in your mind too, because you just gave your talk at Auburn, which is great. So we talked about teaching. So that is, I think, something that is really interesting because, we have such a wealth of knowledge, and it's very translatable into, local areas.
And there's also the talks of all these new vet schools supposedly being instituted. And that definitely is a little cause for concern on my part, because it is already hard to find professors to teach at the vet schools we currently have. And we already know there's very limited vet schools in the United States. There's some out of the country. Obviously, I went to one out of the country. But we need to make sure that we have the staff to be able to work at these new institutions that we're going to be providing. So, there are those opportunities coming up, and we want somebody that is going to have the education and experience, hopefully, to be able to do that. So there's definitely going to be a lot of teaching opportunities coming up with all the talks about the new veterinary schools that they're going to be building.
And on that note, it's interesting, like the AVMA has published, this is back in 2018, so pre-pandemic, that I'm sure these numbers have changed a little bit. But for example, on those in small animal practice, over 75% of veterinarians work in small animal practices. Large animal vets make up about 15%, and mixed animal is about 10%. So there's definitely this need for more vets to be out there. I think now more than ever, we're kind of reaching this like paucity of vets, obviously related to the burnout issue, and it's something that needs to be focused on.
Absolutely. And, I feel like small animal practice is always going to be the majority of where practicing clinicians are going to be. Typically, there's going to be a lot more dogs and cats and companion type animals that are going to be seeking out vet care, but large animal, exotics, small furries, there are so many areas in veterinary medicine that are needed. So, that's something that I encourage anyone who's interested in those fields. I know that there are grants right now in Alabama trying to service like these underserviced areas for veterinary medicine, that, if somebody has a calf that's stuck out in, West Alabama, there's no one around for, extended distance to even help. And so farmers are having to do it themselves. I know for my practice, we don't have any like exotics vets, and unfortunately the closest falconry center is in Auburn, and our clinic has somehow been dubbed kind of the first aid falconry center in North Alabama. So if there's ever injured wildlife, owls, hawks, eagles, even a lot of times animal control will call us, and we'll administer the first aid and then get transport down to Auburn, where there are rehab facilities down there to where they can continue to take care of them and whatnot. So there's a lot of shortage in even in clinical practice, that we have a lot of opportunities for sure.
Yeah, and on that note, I think what is interesting is, you don't have to be, like you said, if you're interested in exotics, you can, you don't have to necessarily, you can have sort of a concentration in it, and have a special interest in that area. I have a dear friend who is very interested in dermatology, and she's like the GP that focuses on dermatology in her clinic. She doesn't ever claim she's a dermatologist, and it's very clear, but she's just really good at it and really loves doing it. So a lot of the cases just happen to go to her, and she's been now she's known to sort of have that concentration. So
she's finding her niche.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that too is important, is like being able to explore that for yourself, and being okay with that, that you don't have to like everything or be good at everything. There's something that you're really good at, you can kind of focus on that more.
Absolutely.
And, talking to your, wherever you work, like talking to them about like maybe some different things you could do that would make your clinic be just a little bit more differentiated, because you have this interest or whatever.
And then there's also research, and I know you actually got into research more prior to vet school. So how did that help you with your veterinary career?
Yeah, that and that's another thing. Like if you're interested in research, there are ways you could do that in practice. For me, it was before I went to vet school, and something I carried through vet school, which was really really fun for me, and really like something I'm passionate about. And I think if someone has that interest in doing research, they can still do that in the clinic. And you can do that through clinical trials. And every university will have clinical trials going on. And you can sign up to be your clinic to be a clinical trial clinic.
Awesome.
And be part of that and have your sort of stake in, you know, making new medicines be available. It's pretty cool. So if that's something that people are passionate about, they can, you know, get involved in that. So I think that's another sort of avenue to go down if you're wanting to have a different experience. I think consulting roles, that's kind of an interesting one too. And, you know, utilizing the knowledge base that you have to help, whether it's other practices, say you're maybe even for those practice managers out there, even, or support staff of like helping other hospitals, being a consultant for getting a business on track, or, you know.
I know at least for my content creation side of it, there's a lot of consulting roles to help with that, whether it's to help find content or make it, edit it, or things that you can do to, you know, help reach more clients and market your practice. You know, there's a lot of consulting for things like that. There's also, like you said, with practice management, things that can help your practice run more smoothly, financial consulting, which is huge, because, you know, it is a business, and to be able to keep the doors open and how we can keep a good, you know, financial flow for the clinic is very important.
Tell me a little bit more about your social media aspect. Like, how did you get involved in that? Because I think that is something, if you're interested, like if you're, you know, doing your everyday kind of career and also interested in that kind of social media or marketing piece, how did that come about for you?
So honestly, around the pandemic was where it really kind of took, you know, everybody was home or cooped up. And so we did not have a lot of patients or clients coming in because we were like just problem exams only and things like that. And so, you know, at times it started getting boring, and this is when TikTok became big, and we started just filming stuff because, one, it was fun and lighthearted, and I have a very big sense of humor and outgoing and whatnot. So we just started doing sound bites, and I love music. I love 2000s hip hop, and just kind of started doing that. And unfortunately, a lot of people did not like one of my videos, or how it became big was I did a little trend that had been going around that was like a 5 things trend. And I was like, oh, this could be cool for my, like, you know, 300 followers, that I'll just do a veterinary spin on it. And so I just did, you know, 5 breeds that I wouldn't own because I'm a veterinarian, because, you know, you see all the different types, all their problems that they have, all the expenses that they cause. And so I did it, you know, from a place of humor, and it blew up. It was just, it took off. And a lot of people found the humor in it and what I was going for. A lot of people did not. But yeah, that's kind of where it started, and went from there. And my whole idea for like my brand, what I want to do with content creation, is just to share the joy that I get from my career and connect to my clients on a different level, so that they can see, one, that we are human. We struggle with things. We have fun. We're goofy. We love your pets, even though sometimes it can be very hard to do what we do, depending on procedure, or, you know, if it's going from a puppy exam to a euthanasia to back to a puppy exam. Sharing those moments and stuff is really, it helps me to connect to the clients and stuff better. And I have so many clients that have come in either from seeing my videos or will come in and be like, okay, my dog needs to be on a video. Like, you've got to record my dog, or can you take a picture and post it and stuff. So it's really nice. Like, they like having that connection, and, we feel, I guess, more connected because of it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think really important too, because I think there's probably some idea of misconceptions that pet owners have, of course.
Absolutely.
What happens at in our practices and stuff. So I think that's great. Another one we can talk about is telehealth, because I think that's a really interesting area that has become more popular.
Absolutely.
And more available for vets to do. And with between like having technologies that can be brought into your clinic very easily, that have telehealth platforms. I think this is a really fascinating area because it allows vets to have sort of a break in their routine of your day. So if you're getting kind of burnt out by the like every day doing these things and it's super intense every day, what are some of the things how can telehealth help in that way for us as vets, but also, help our clients too?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of new products and new platforms that are coming out that can really help us with that. There's definitely two-way texting, which I find super useful because I'm usually not going to be able to get on the phone and call someone and go over results, especially if it's normal. If I can have my assistant do that, great. But if it's Monday or Friday, phone's ringing off the hook, then, it's hard to find that time. Whereas we can get on a platform, we can say, hey, blood work looked great. We'll see you, in 2 weeks or whatever. So we've got a lot of opportunities to help us and the clients for two-way texting, sending pictures of things to help triage and let them know, like, yes, that's okay. It can wait 2 days for an appointment, or no, we need to get you in right now. So those types of things are great. We also use telecommunications and telehealth for different diagnostics. We have an ultrasound machine in our practice, and neither me or my partner are board certified in ultrasound or diagnostic imaging. And, but we're good. And, we've taken courses and whatnot. But now we can do the ultrasound with a sonographer over the interwebs. And he tells us, where to move the probe to, and let's do this. And he does all the, very complicated measuring and labeling and stuff for us, which is super nice, and it's quicker and it helps us out. So different technologies like that are really beneficial. And then you've got stuff like AI scribes too, that not only help us in clinical practice, because we are having to go from patient to patient, and we don't want to stay all night to work on our charts, but it's also really good for the clients and the patients as well, because it is dictating what you say, that okay, I did tell them this, or, oh, hey, there's been so many times where I missed something that the client would tell me, and I would go back and look, and it's like, oh, I completely forgot that she said she gave that medicine.
Right.
And so now I have that, and I'm like, let me give her a call back and see if we can change something up. So it's very important.
Yeah, I think the telehealth option is great too, and of course, depending on your state's laws, there's some nuances there.
Absolutely.
Having BCPR and depending on the laws in your state, but having telehealth ability can also have people do more at home and change up their days a little bit, like, so it's not like having the same thing every day. It's kind of breaking that up a little bit. You could do part-time telehealth or like certain day or something like that, and rotate through. So I think there's different options that people can do. I've heard of people also like in more remote areas. I think that access to care piece with telehealth is important. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, that is telehealth, I think is another option for people to have a look at.
Absolutely. And just like you said, it's definitely important for you to make sure what the laws are in your state. I know with Alabama, you have to have a valid VCPR, and it cannot be done via telehealth. You have to see them in practice first, and then within a certain period of time. So no, I don't think telehealth is going to be or should not be the primary way that we see patients, but it definitely can give us a break. It can help free up some other appointment times that we really need to get patients in that have to be seen immediately, and we can use it in conjunction with those in-person exams.
Yep.
And like you said, give yourself a break from being maybe in practice to where you can be the consultant for that telehealth, things like pet poison helpline. You know, there's a lot of different opportunities there, and that's a telehealth type of platform.
Yep. So it really just allows like a breadth of opportunity for people, triage for pet owners and for vets. So I think it's a really cool thing to explore, and it's growing. Industry is another thing. I get a lot of questions from friends or colleagues or whatever that ask about how to get into industry. Yeah. And that's something that, again, like I mentioned before, it's something I never thought would be my path, but I came across it. I think it's easier to get into industry now, and I think larger corporate companies are looking for experienced veterinarians to be part of, whether it's research and development, in marketing, and even in sales. And I think that it could be, whether it's pet food companies, drug manufacturers, distributors, like there are plenty of companies out there that are looking for experienced vets. Yeah. And
vet techs.
Yeah. And vet techs. Absolutely. Yep. Mm-hmm. Should we go into some of the abroad experiences maybe?
Yeah.
Let's go into, because I know, Whitney, you've had a really cool experience doing your vet education.
Yeah. Going from Alabama to Ireland's definitely unique. I don't think a lot of people, at least from my hometown, have done that.
Total side note, but how did they take your accent?
Oh, they were great. So Irish, they're so fantastic. I have, still some really good friends over there, and I can't wait to go back. I need to go back soon. But yeah, so it's definitely a running joke to where they definitely like to pick at us Americans, but I feel like the Southern accent's so much different from the other. Yeah. I got a lot, like if we would go out, ask if I was from Australia, which
really?
I was like, oh, thanks.
Why yes?
Yeah. But yeah, so very cool. I kind of learned about how you can apply to AVMA accredited schools that are overseas, and found that out from a friend who actually went to Dublin before I did. And so found that I was like, well, heck yeah, I'm going to apply here so I can do that, because I've always wanted to travel and explore and broaden my horizons, get out, see the world, and went. And it was so great because it's one different way of life. So you get so many different cultures. You get to really become your own person, especially when you are kind of taken away from where you've grown up and your family and people that know you and have known you your whole life. You get the opportunity to become your own person and see, like, is this what I believe? Is this what I want to do? And so on and so forth. But got to see all the sheep and all the dairy cattle, which is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go, because I did want to do mixed animal practice. I still miss mixed animal practice. And it was great to do that. And also, while I was in vet school there, in between, I think, first and second year, me and several of my friends went to Ghana on a veterinary trip. So they had opportunities to where you can help these underserved areas. And it was great. We did, I think we did some vaccines, like rabies vaccines, because rabies is very much so prevalent there. We did like castrations of pigs, dogs, maybe some cats. I feel like we didn't see many cats. But yeah, it was just a really great opportunity to feel like we were giving back to a community that unfortunately doesn't have a lot of great vet care options there. And yeah, it was really something. And I feel like you have also had these experiences for humanitarian work and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So yeah, I did some work in conservation medicine when I was in school. I was really fortunate to be able to do a project where we went to South Africa and worked with a conservation group there. Had really amazing experiences with learning about conservation medicine in South Africa, which is incredible, and really life-changing, I have to say. So if you have opportunities to be able to, whatever that is, whether it's you're in vet school or you're in practice, like to look into different programs out there that you're able to do that.
And it's not just while you're in vet school. There's opportunities outside. I've had a friend, a couple friends actually. I think Dr. Christy Crow and Dr. Shallow, they're also both on socials, but they went to somewhere in Africa and did a lot of vet work. They were, sedating rhinos and, looking at different like leopards and stuff like that, all conservation management. And it was so awesome to see. There's the jungle doctor that's on social. I love following her stuff. So it doesn't have to be just when you're in vet school. There's opportunities to take off a week, go to Africa and go help an underserved community. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yep. I totally agree. And I know it probably seems like, oh, how do I get that? How do I make it happen? And it's just starting looking into it, looking at what programs are out there and scheduling that to happen. Yeah. So let's take a recap of everything we kind of reviewed today. I know we went through a couple different things, but I think it's really important for people to and our colleagues to hear what we're saying about, we understand what that struggle can be. I'm sure I know every one of my friends, I'm sure every one of yours have gone through moments where it's been a struggle. Absolutely. You feel like you might be burnt out. So if anybody out there is feeling that way or feeling even a little lost, like you went into veterinary medicine for a reason, but now feeling, I didn't know it was going to be like this. There's opportunity to take that sort of reset and have a look at like, what are some things you can do? Maybe it's just you need to step out and do something different for a little bit and come back to it. But
absolutely,
we've talked about, exploring research, whether it's clinical trials or doing, connecting with research organizations, taking a venture into teaching. Talked through that a little bit about going into consulting roles is another really interesting path. Industry, which we talked about quite a bit and we'll probably talk about a little bit more. And then opportunities like telehealth as well. So
and traveling abroad
and different mission things you can do, something that's very meaningful to you. Absolutely. To each person. So feel free to explore that and like be able to see what other things are going to really really get that passion back, or kind of just Absolutely. You never know what door you walk through and
never know, and
opportunity.
Don't limit yourself just to one thing. Keep an open mind. And unfortunately, in veterinary medicine, you are most likely going to reach this point where you are going to be burnout. You're going to be, really sad or depressed. It's going to hit home, unfortunately, because of our career having such high rates in those areas. So one, reach out to someone, don't go through it alone, and then always know that there are other opportunities besides what you're doing just right in that second. There's a world of possibilities that you can get into.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Vet Reset. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today about the many career paths that you can take with your veterinary career. If what we talked to you about today resonated with you, please consider subscribing and following us on socials. We appreciate your feedback, so feel free to leave us a rating, a comment, or even tell us about your own stories to where your veterinary career has taken you to inspire others. Don't forget to share this episode with other veterinary friends who are eager to learn and grow. And remember, if you're feeling stuck in your career, it is never too late to hit the reset button.